The Darkness 2 is the quintessential oxymoron in video games. It balances blood with beauty from start to finish in a short but sweet ride. The sequel to 2007's adaptation of the comic book series of the same name, The Darkness was an accomplished and artful piece of storytelling that was driven by visuals and superlative dialogue. The campaign may have been a few hours on the slim side, but its involving experience supplied a surplus of cathartic action that really made you feel for its tragic hero, Jackie Estacado. Many years later, the Demon Dawn is back on the attack, but is this darkness worth embracing? In a moving second chapter, Jackie finds himself at war with both a mysterious group who covet his powers and his powers themselves, while at the same time trying to rejoin his lost love, Jenny. Some time has passed since his longtime girlfriend got her brains blown out in front of him, and in that time, the young mafioso has managed to bury the titular devilish spirit living inside of him. Jackie, having taken out his wicked uncle and the New York mob in the previous iteration, is now the leader of the Estacado family, living the good life as best he can without his belated belle. His life becomes a whole lot darker when he comes under the attack of a band of hired guns and has to release the darkness once more, allowing it to slowly feed on his soul. The group responsible for the hit turn out to be an ancient clan known as the Brotherhood, and they only want one thing: they want the darkness, and Jackie is all too eager to hand the damning demon right over. There's one problem: the darkness isn't. Perfectly happy with resting in a soul it can control, the spirit forces its host into cooperation with the knowledge that it's got Jenny's soul locked up in hell. At the same time, it's constantly playing tricks on Jackie, making him see things that aren't there. And so, sparing any spoilers, the rest of the 6 to 8 hour tale that the game offers sees Jackie ultimately coming to grips with his inner demons in a blood-soaked episode of vengeance and absolution. What's so poetic about the story is that, like the original, it engrosses you with a character that, for all his sinful soldiering, you empathize with and feel sorry for. Ultimately, it's not Jackie's fault his life turned out this way. In between key missions, he gives greater insight into his past, with brief anecdotes about moments with Jenny, his troubled childhood at an abusive orphanage, and other violent encounters. These monologues do a great job in helping in formulating Estacado's third dimension. He's not just a thug out for blood, but like any of us, has had to struggle with a good deal of turmoil in his life. And of course, he's driven by love, not just by limb-tearing lust. Now, give credit to Marc Silvestri and the other guys behind the comic book series, as all of this backstory had already been established, but give just as much credit to developer Digital Extremes for faithfully converting that tragic tale from print to pixel.
Okay. In the alley. Down on the tracks.
Take this, asshole!
The poignant fiction ultimately propels the action, gives it purpose, and makes you feel powerful above all else. Aided by the darkness's serpent-like tendrils for most of the game, you brutally slash vertically and horizontally with the right, and grab people with the left for even bloodier execution-style kills that drain the enemy of ammo or health. Talent shrines scattered throughout allow you to upgrade your abilities, letting you send out swarms of locusts to distract your opponents, or channel the darkness into your weapons, granting you health bonuses. When you're low on energy, you go up to a guy and you rip his heart out. Oh man, that sucks to be him. Used in conjunction with satisfying gunplay that holds up with the best of shooters, what you get is gameplay that is not only diverse, but extremely liberating. This reviewer has always contended that the action is only as thrilling as its potential effect. If a building explodes in a film, it's not the blast that draws an emotional response, it's the people the blast can harm. The same principle applies to video games. Touched by Jackie's misfortune, you find yourself genuinely becoming furious at your foes, and slicing them into bits becomes so much more satisfying. You're not just interacting with the game, you're interacting with the story, and that is what makes The Darkness 2 so damn fun to play, and at the same time, it's what vindicates the violence. The ridiculous amount of gore is not gratuitous, but artful in its dissection, pardon the pun, of the aggressive human spirit. Nevertheless, parents, please keep this one away from the kids. Even though the game's slightly more linear than its precursor, it's also highly replayable. Unlike the original, which loosely offered some geographic freedom, The Darkness 2 is siphoned into individual missions with little to no detour options. It's just straight down the line. Each mission will take you about 15 minutes to a half hour to complete, and in between each suffering-stacked stage, you return to your high-rise mansion, which serves as a good breather to talk to your family and company of convicts. It's paced well enough, and once the game's over, as is the growing tradition in gaming now, you can start over in New Game Plus, which lets you keep all of your abilities. Of course, there's the set of achievements and trophies to nab as added incentive, but the value is further vindicated with the Vendetta mode, which also serves as a supplement to the campaign. Take control of one of several crooks, all armed with Jackie's tough guy persona and darkness powers. What's interesting about Vendetta is that because its missions actually take place between the main story missions, it almost extends the campaign itself. But it also varies up the gameplay a bit more. Like, I'm using this Japanese guy called Inuyagi or something, and instead of the demon tentacle things, you've got a sword. I mean, look at that. It's awesome. You can just go up to guys and get out of my face. The dialogue in these missions actually gives you some of the characters' backstory as well, so it's like more than a horde mode that focuses purely on senseless gameplay. It's actually a well thought out addition to the core game.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so scary. Promise you'll protect me.
Jenny? What is this?
Come on, don't tell me you're still afraid of the dark.
The Darkness 2 is gorgeous and accounts its saga through visuals and voices. Right from the incredibly clean menu, you know you're in for a treat. More so than in 2007, the graphical style does a fantastic job in emulating the comic books without entering cel-shaded territory. It manages a fine-looking line that maintains the realism of a breathing world. The levels are all detailed, the character models convincingly animated and acted. What was I saying? Oh yeah. The levels are all detailed, character models well animated, and the violence is a tapestry of terror. Ripping guys apart has never looked as beautiful or as appealing to the eyes. As I said before, it's the ultimate interactive oxymoron, but the visuals are just as effective on a subtle level as well. Simply looking around Jackie's bedroom is an experience. Candles lit for Jenny and a bottle of half-drunk wine left by the tub speak more to the mobster's character than the characters themselves. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and the Darkness 2, thankfully, is aware of this. The voiceover is just brilliant and has to be in the conversation for a 2012 award. Naturally, Jackie is the most critical piece of the presentation and is played with a lot of heart in a gangster tone that, especially when narrating past events, almost sounds like a Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. But it's the supporting cast that leave a lasting impression. Off-the-wall characters like your charming yet crass Cockney cartoon of a sidekick, or the superb stammering of an expert on the darkness, Johnny Powell.
There wasn't shit. Literally, nothing but void and darkness. And that's how the darkness liked it. It wasn't until God decreed, turn on the lights, that things got nasty. It started out small. A planet here, a sun there. You know, next thing you know, there were humans and cows and then stuff running all over the place. Needless to say, the darkness was pissed.
Are all near-perfect performances. And then, of course, you've got your eponymous evil, the darkness itself.
Are of no consequence!
As a whole, the game generally has to deal with the same flaws of the original, but it also benefits from a little more polish and care. If you're looking for a game to invest tons of hours in, look away, because what you've got here is a fairly short episodic experience. But with a powerful story backed by cinematic dialogue and top-notch voiceover, some great graphics, an incredibly fun mix of shooter and slasher gameplay, and overall, just an involving synergy of slaughter and sensitivity, give credence to the adage, quality over quantity. Unleash your demons and embrace the darkness. I wouldn't recommend that.